Welcome to Ready Set RC, and today we are doing an unboxing of the ZD Racing EX07. We're also doing a quick overview of the car. We're taking it for its first run, and we're going to give you a comparison between this and the Arrma Felony. We're also going to provide to you first thoughts on the EX07. Stay along for the ride, guys. Today we got the ZD Racing 1/7 scale 4-wheel drive electric hypercar. This is the EX07, guys. This is the ready to run model. Specs on this: the overall length is 29.13 inches or 740 millimeters. The width is 13.58 inches or 345 millimeters. The overall height is 7.72 inches or 196 millimeters, and the ground clearance is 0.69 inches or 17.5 millimeters. The wheelbase on this, guys, is 16.26 inches or 413 millimeters, and the weight is 5.7 kilograms. This thing looks ridiculous, guys. The only other scale on-road RC that I ever thought looked as good as this one, yeah, it's this one. So this is the 1/10 scale one that came out from HPI a while back. I kept the body, I sold the rest of the car. But yeah, this and the ZD Racing one, they look spot on, guys. They look really good. Let's discuss what comes in the box first. So you get the Dumbo RC controller, functional for this car, guys. It's a plastic wheel for you guys that are familiar with the budget controllers from Dumbo. This is basically it. Very easy to use in the hand, has all your functionalities, has a 4th channel, and this 4th channel that's right here by my thumb, this is for the handbrake. So you have the 3rd channel, which is going to toggle the lights, 4th channel, which is for the brake. Up here is where you're going to have your dual rates, your reverse switches for your throttle and for your steering. Very functional controller, guys. It's simplistic, but it is very functional for this car. Some of the other things that you get some battery straps, the instructions of where to put the stickers, some zip ties, some extra screws, and you also get the badging for the front grille, the iconic Mustang Pony, or you do get a ZD Racing icon for the front grille on the RC. So with the RTR version of this car, you get batteries. You also get a charger for those batteries. For us here in the United States, this charger is not going to work for us, so it's not really needed. The RTR version comes with servos for the steering and also for the brake. It comes with an ESC and a motor on this car, guys. I wanted the full experience, so I bought the RTR. I didn't want to go with the roller. I wanted to get the full experience from ZD Racing since this is my first ZD Racing RC. What you also get is the remaining of the sticker sheet for this car for you to affix the rest of the stickers to it. And you get 2 of those sheets, guys. It's about two sheets of stickers still left to put on this car. It's probably where the biggest controversy should be, is on the body. But for the chassis itself, we'll go through the chassis, and I'm going to tell you guys, spoiler alert, it's not a clone. So on this car, there's multiple molded pieces that are on here. There's several pieces that are affixed by screws. It seems pretty sturdy. I did see where Tom Lee RC was talking about the front of it needs to be pitched down, and I will agree. That's probably the only thing that sets off this car, is that definitely the body could be pitched down in the front. I got something I'm going to try for this too. I think Tom Lee applied some heat, and I'm going to try a different approach and see how that works. But let's get the shell off, guys, and let's see what's going on underneath. So for the shell too, guys, with the RTR version, you have headlights in the front and you have taillights over here in the rear. There are 2 connections that you will have to connect once you put the body onto the chassis. The lights have a multi-function to them, so there's like a halo lights with different colors. There's a flashing, there's rainbow, and there's also just typical white headlights that are on there. The rear's straightforward red taillights that are on this car. We can see going from the front to the rear We have a nice foam bumper in the front. That front splitter is plastic. It is flexible. It feels good. It looks like it'll take some curb hitting as you go through with this. Oil-filled shocks, aluminum body with aluminum shock caps, screw-down design to adjust your shock heights. Camber and toe are adjustable in the front. We also have a sway bar going on in the front as well, guys. Looking at the shock tower, we have a CNC aluminum shock tower. Coming off, we have an anodized aluminum steering plate with a Arrma bar, which is also anodized aluminum. We have the hinge pin retainers, also aluminum on here, also anodized aluminum as we're coming back. Towards the steering, we have a servo saver, and that servo in there is a 15 kilogram servo, and it seems a little slow, so I'm gonna try it out for the first time with everything stock as much as possible. As we head over to the motor, we have a 2000 kV motor. It has a heat sink and a dual fan setup on here. Very powerful. I fired that up. It's very loud, guys. As we're coming back, it has adjustable metal motor plate on this as well. And then we see the handbrake servo tailoring right behind that. Everything is nice and compact on this RC. Now, as we also can see on there, it has a dog bone drive shaft down the center that comes to the center differential, another shorter drive shaft coming off of the differential to the rear, and then it is broken down to a third center drive shaft coming off to the rear differential. All along the top, you have a double center brace going on here to really give it some rigidity on this RC. As you guys can see here, we have the dual battery mounts in here as well. These are two 3S packs. They're 35C, and it does have Deans or T-plugs coming off of the 150 amp ESC on here. And this is probably another one of the very controversial parts of this RC. We're gonna run it stock, and we're gonna see how this operates, guys. We're not gonna change out any of the plugs. I like to run XT90s, but we're gonna run it with the Deans and see how this thing does. Coming back to the rear, we have adjustable camber in the rear as well. I love to see this. We have anodized aluminum for the hubs in the rear, dog bones coming off in the rear as well, aluminum shock bodies with aluminum shock caps, and it's a screw down adjustment that's on there as well. Shock tower, once again in the rear, is on a CNC aluminum. Coming off in the rear, we also have another sway bar. And for the rear shock and for the rear body mount, we do have an adjustable rear body mount on the rear here. And then there's a rear diffuser coming off of that. It's about a 3 millimeter thick chassis, but in some areas it is 4 millimeters thick for strengthening and more rigidity. The control arms are 10 millimeters thick. As for the side skid plates, guys, they are a thick Lexan, but they are affixed by 5 screws and nuts on this car. Just well designed, guys. I mean, I've never had, as I said, I've never had a ZD Racing vehicle before, but I am impressed with what I see, even though some inefficiencies did come up in reference to the center diff. I am very impressed with what I'm seeing here. Like that. All right, guys, here we are. Arrma Felony, the ZD Racing EX07. You guys can notice I got it a little stickered up and also put the little Mustang up here in the front. I'm not sure if the video is capturing that pretty well, guys, but the EX07 is a wider car than the Arrma Felony. It's also a little bit longer, not by much, maybe by that much, but there's definitely a little bit longer wheelbase on the EX07 than the Felony. I'll go through and I'll show you guys some shots of the chassis so you see that too, but you'll see, guys, that the two cars are nothing alike. And, you know, just to kill the whole clone conversation, if anything, the Felony's a clone too, because to me, the Felony reminds me of the Losi 6. And if guys who don't know the Losi 6, I'll show you a picture of that right now. I still own my Losi 6, but I've shelved it at this point. But the Arrma Felony is very close to the Losi 6, guys. And if we're going to start talking that clone talk, then Arrma cloned the Losi 6. To be quite honest, you look at this, the layout is no different than any other, you know, 8 scale, 7 scale on-road chassis. They all look the same after a while, guys. They don't, you know, there's no cloning here. You guys can see in the front, the Arrma Felony has a pillow bulb suspension. You look at the EX07, it's a typical wishbone suspension that's going on there. Single chassis brace on the Arrma Felony, double chassis brace on the EX07. Placement of the servo is vertical on the Arrma Felony, horizontal on the EX07. Center drive shaft is a 2 dog bones style on the Arrma Felony. On the EX07, we have 3 dog bones going on in the center. I mean, just these simple little things, guys, just showing you that there is a significant difference between the two cars. There's nothing that I would say that screams out to me that they are identical. Looking at the rear, looking at the shock tower on the Arrma Felony. It has the chassis brace coming off with 2 more of the links. You look at the chassis brace on the EX07, totally different, guys. These are the front tires of the EX07 and the Arrma Felony. Just a larger tire on the EX07, guys, wider and taller. And we'll show you a little bit of that in the rear. Once again, taller tire on the EX07. Width is a little bit wider on the EX07, but not by much. And if you look at the body and how the body fits on the Arrma Felony from the EX07, guys, you'll see wheelbase-wise, it is a longer wheelbase on the EX07. And here we are, guys, with the EX07 on the top. We have the Arrma Felony on the bottom. You guys can see how wide the EX07 is to the Arrma Felony. Now, as I've stated, guys, when I received my EX07, the center diff was leaked out. You guys can see what the center diff looks like in this illustration right here. It is completely empty. I mean, it just leaked out all over inside the box. I went ahead and I filled it up with 100K diff fluid, and that's what we're running in the center right now. So one other thing, guys, these are the packs that you get with the EX07. They're 3S packs, 35C, 5000 mAh. They have a T-plug or a Dean's type connection off of them. The only issue that I had with this is that one of the batteries that I had on my car was plugged in, and that battery is now at a low voltage, guys. So I'm gonna have to do some maintenance on it to try to get it back. But that's what I noticed with it. So for the first run that I've done with this, it is actually running my 45C, 5000 mAh, 3S Gens Ace packs, the closest batteries I have that can run on this. Now, the great thing about the battery trays on this, if you have those longer style packs, similar to my Gens Ace 3S packs, lengthen out the battery tray on this to adjust for those longer style packs. That was a nice design on this car. But for the first run, we didn't run these batteries. I got to do some maintenance on them and see if I can get that battery pack back. So after doing my first run, just want to give you guys a little bit of an overview as to what we went through on this car. The servo is downright horrible, guys. That servo is really slow. As for the ESC and motor, the ESC held up for me. So for this first run, we noticed that we did not run into any issues with the ESC. I know there's a ton of videos out there that this ESC is actually giving people a lot of problems. I do have a backup ESC when that day happens for me. But for right now, I'm not experiencing any problems with it. It's holding up. The motor on this is a 2000 kV motor. Enough power for what I want to do, because what I want to do is have that back end break out, you know, have it really doing some hooning around. That's what I want this car for, and it was doing it well out there on the first run. The tires I thought were not going to be able to hook up and, you know, perform and do the things that I wanted to do, but they actually did, guys. They do hook up. They do balloon a little bit, so I would say be cautious, because what will tend to happen is that you will get some rubbing on the wheel wells over here and also on the rear. What I'm going to do is go back, put some protected on there, and then seal those up. But for the most part, you know, it held up well. I know a lot of you guys are asking the question, should you get the RTR or the roller? I would say for this right now, with everything that I'm noticing, the motor's the only thing that I would really keep in here. Yes, you have the servo for the brake, but that's a low, really low voltage servo. You can get that anywhere. And for just the motor with these electronics, the batteries could be a possible throwaway. Get the roller, guys. Don't even waste your time with the RTR. I'm gonna be honest with you, is that after doing this, as I said, I wanted to go through and do the full experience with this on my own and see what this was gonna be like. And when I ordered this was before any videos was released on this car. Going through this now, going with the motor, the ESC, the 2 servos, the battery packs, the controller, and getting my full experience with this, I would say value is in the roller. Get the roller. You can put your own electronics in this. I know eventually, you know, I was looking at the RC Kiwis video well after I had already placed an order for this, and they had mentioned that that ZD Racing is going to be addressing the ESC on this. But at this time, guys, you don't know if you're getting the old lot or the new lot of cars that are going to come out. You're better off just putting that to the side. Get the roller. You'll put the electronics that you want in here. You'll get a car that you want. Especially if you run into a situation where my diff was leaking, at least you're not working around a whole bunch of different parts to get the diff out and get that diff service. Now, hopefully you don't run into those situations that I did. But as I said, had to pop the diff out, put some diff fluid in there, and I was good to go afterwards. It's a very quick job to do, but if you're working around a bunch of other electronics, which I had to do, I had to unplug a lot of the electronics that were in here that I would have just loved to just put everything in all at one time. But I would say for now, get the roller, you'll enjoy it. The RTR, let them sort out the problems with the electronics right now. Servo is a throwaway. ESC is questionable. Motor is good, but you know, for you guys that want to run 8S on this, you're going to put a bigger motor in there anyway. And for the braking servo, do you really need it? It's a very quirky feature on here with the switch. And really, at the end of the day, great controller. You know, the Dumbo controllers are nice, but are you really going to pay the markup for the Dumbo controller? I don't think so, guys. You can probably save a lot more in getting the Dumbo controller on your own. But guys, we're going to leave it here. Please like, comment, and subscribe. That's how you're going to find out the latest updates on the channels if you subscribe and hit the bell. Check us out on Instagram for our latest posts to the channels, because what I tend to do is post a lot of content between videos on Instagram. This is Ready Set RC signing out. Thanks again, guys.